So we're back, and One Piece chapter 990 is here, and we have a fantastic chapter to talk about today. With the structure of this chapter, while taking into consideration the numerous plot points involved, easily, to me, one of the best chapters in Wano so far. But of course, a Wano chapter wouldn't be the same without a cover page with Pound being included. In the last chapter, we had Pound showing his daughters the picture of when they were young and the Big Mom stuff. And this time we see them finally believing that this man could actually be their father. An exciting reunion, I wish I could say, but at least they're together now. I don't believe we're quite at the end unless the sole purpose of this cover story was to reunite Pound with his daughters. And to me, that feels a bit incomplete. So I expect it to go for a bit longer. I've been high on a possible supernova reunion in Wano, so we'll stick with that for now until something changes in the coming future. Okay, as mentioned, let's get to this fantastic chapter. We remember he was apprehended by Kyoshiro off guard and then captured instead of killed at the time. Some people did voice some concerns about the reasoning behind this, but now it all makes sense, right? It seems like they had built up a relationship to the point that Kyoshiro is considered a close friend by Sasaki. We of course don't have many details of Kyoshiro's time in the capital serving as Orochi's dog, but it seems like he cared enough about Sasaki not to kill him. But the reason for Sasaki being free does come down to Big Mom just being devastating. And a small part of me did want to see how Big Mom reacted to being somewhat owned by the Straw Hats. And I'm using owned very loosely because I know just how negative this particular topic is viewed. So I always just want to clarify, I do not feel that way about Big Mom. But regardless, Oda again is highlighting Big Mom's strength by showcasing how far a slash from her can actually travel. We're not exactly sure how far Sasaki is from the action, but still, I'm going to presume it's a considerable distance as Kyoshiro apprehended Sasaki pretty early in the raid. And we see just how large Onigashima is. So yeah, indirectly, Oda is telling us right after metaphorically having the Straw Hats dunk on Big Mom, don't forget how devastating she can be. Some may say typical, this is expected of Big Mom, they're not impressed, but hey, that's what happened. Just get over it, alright? Sasaki did also highlight that he didn't care for Wano's history, but he's going to make sure that Kyoshiro pays, right? Whatever that means. So for me, in regards to Wano's matchup, Sasaki has always been an interesting case as I didn't really narrow down an actual combatant for him that truly made sense. Maybe Kawamatsu, but now I can officially say that Sasaki versus Kyoshiro seems very likely at this point. We transition to Kaido and the Scabbards and they have not moved a muscle, literally, and are currently in an epic stare down while their underlings engage in a mini showdown. It's almost like they're the undercards and Kaido versus the Scabbards is the main event. Not a huge deal, but I think funny as hell. The minks do look cool though, and I suppose this is an indication of their strength, but the indomitable Jack looks pretty battered. Even more so than when he was fighting the Dukes. Jack himself did say that this form does not last long, so I'm sure he's just holding out until they tired themselves out. But huge props to him though. He's been holding it down. He messed up with Zoe, but he's willing to do whatever it takes to make it right. You gotta respect that. It also seemed like Kinemon had had enough and seemingly could not hold back anymore. He lunged to attack but was stopped by Inarashi and Nekomamushi. I do have a slight critique with this moment though, and that's because the forms still have not been shown. In One Piece, the silhouette is sometimes used a bit too much, i.e. Green Bull and Oden. Green Bull is still a silhouette to this day, and it's used so much to the point that you're just screaming at the page, show him already. And that's kind of where I am with the Dukes and their Sulong forms. It's been foreshadowed for a long time, right? But now I just really want to see these forms. Call me impatient, but I can't help. Look how long it's been. I'm sorry. But from what we can make out though, this is going to be absolutely epic. Now, inside the dome at the live stage, we have our favorite duo, King and Queen. The interactions between the two are so reminiscent of Zoro and Sanji, you look forward to them. And this time was no different. King expressed just how low his bar is for Queen, which was actually really funny. And Queen is attempting to make sense of what's happening and what happened in Udon because he's seeing prisoners from Udon, but he seems to be a bit more ticked off that they're being led by Luffy. I wonder if that's because he knows he underestimated him and he's still not expecting much from him. Because one thing in Udon we talked a lot about was Queen's interactions with Luffy and how unbothered he was with him. He didn't really flinch for anything Luffy did, from Conqueror's Haki to an attack. So Queen's confidence even at this moment is still very much intact, even while being berated by King. If he was going up against Big Mom now, that's a different case altogether. But speaking of King, there's something I think needs to be addressed, and I've seen numerous people come to this conclusion on King's strength in comparison to other first commanders already, and people, we have not seen King do much of anything. When he does, he's pretty effective. I get it, it's hard not to compare him to Katakuri, but Katakuri had future sight, so he could literally see things coming. King has to read and react even more instantly than Cat did because he doesn't have that luxury. Even in chapter 990, King takes it upon himself to stop the infighting that was planned around the capture of Yamato. That is something you presume the right hand to do in a situation like this. King even provided encouragement for the forces that were fighting, which in my opinion was pretty admirable. Drake and Hawkins are an interesting duo because they were somewhat of a pair earlier in Wano, and it's funny to see a lot of these previous interactions lead to crucial moments in this chapter. Drake tries to give Hawkins an out, but to me I think he's trying to rule out one less enemy and somebody to worry about, especially someone of the caliber of Hawkins. But the main talking point of Hawkins was saying that someone has a 1% chance to live, but we'll analyze who could possibly do it tomorrow or something in depth because I think that's a different conversation, and it goes back to the beginning of Wano when he placed a percentage on Luffy's chance of survival. So again, we'll talk about that tomorrow, but that is the colossal question. Who will be at 1% tomorrow morning? But it's funny, just like Drake was attempting to have Hawkins make use of the chaos, who's trying to have Drake make use of it as well, but with him. Quickly though, in this same scene after Hawkins talks about 1%, it seems like his cards told him something after Who's Who requested that Drake go with him. What could have changed, or what exactly did he see? Was it at that moment that he knew about Drake? FYI, I do know that it's technically Diaz Drake, but no one says that, so please don't be that guy. So we take a quick break from this scene to focus on our favorites, the Straw Hats. And amid all this commotion, there are two panels I think we should highlight. These two panels were of Hote and Fukurokuju. And according to numerous people, the onomatopoeia that was shown translates to help. So with this, along with Hote seeing Fukurokuju turn away, the speculation is that Orochi is making a comeback. These two were soldiers under him, so what else could cause them to leave so abruptly and also for it to be somewhat highlighted? So that's something to keep an eye on. Back to the Straw Hats though, I just love how they're being treated almost like legends or royalty. It seems like the people have recognized that through the Straw Hats they can actually overcome Kaido. We then have a fantastic showcase from the Straw Hats, which genuinely made me proud. I mean, you sometimes forget just how far this crew has come, but when they mention oars and you think back to the teamwork that was needed to fight against that monster, it's really astounding to think just how easily they brought down a number. I mentioned before how the references to not only the ancient giant race, but now oars made me think of the Florian Triangle. So then I thought of Thriller Bark and instantly I remember Moria. He just has to show up, man. There are just too many signs. There's also been some complaints lately of Luffy's use of Gear 4th, which I don't understand. And to that I say it's obvious that something else is coming. I mean, it's becoming Gear 2nd in regards to use, so I have expectations for either a new gear or a better form involving Ryo. And more to come on that soon as well. So people, please stop freaking out. The form that Hyogoro talks about here is exciting because it leads to so many new things. First off, who is the Wisdom King? And why is it comparable to Luffy's form? When researching the Wisdom King, you go down the rabbit hole in the vein of Buddhism and chakras and then several arms. It's really a lot we could get into, but for now it seems like this could give us some insight not only into the future of Luffy's forms, but also Zoro, because it just makes too much sense. We transition back to Drake, and to your surprise, Queen is now there with them accusing Drake of being the one who helped Law escape. And of course we knew that, but even Hawkins jumped in and said no one else could have done it. So what exactly did he do though? Because we didn't see it. Well, in chapter 950, while Hawkins was interrogating Law, Hawkins literally asked Drake, "What's the matter with you?" And then he said he was acting strange. 4 chapters later, he's laying dismembered in front of Law. So Drake obviously knew where Hawkins was holding Law, and then judging from some of Hawkins' injuries, I mean, he does have a bandage around his head right now, but based on that, I'm thinking Hawkins could have been ambushed. So I think he just used deductive reasoning. Drake went from acting strange while interrogating Law to suddenly I'm ambushed and Law gets away. It would raise some suspicion for sure. But again, we did not see exactly what happened, so this is all speculation, but I think it makes sense based on where we are now. What I especially loved was the setup of Who's Who versus Queen and how it was used to throw us off. We were sure, well, I was sure that Who's Who genuinely wanted to defeat Queen. I actually still think that, but due to the setup and how unpredictable it was, using a somewhat telegraphed encounter was brilliant. This moment makes you question all of the setup. Was Queen talking about Drake in chapter 980? Did he know 10 chapters ago? I mean, I don't see why he wouldn't have. We were at the raid, and this was all masterfully done by Oda. Drake's internal dialogue was also really impactful. Something I always appreciate is internal strife, right? What is a character feeling at the moment? What determines that specific action? That's why I enjoyed Garp and Marineford so much, because we got a glimpse of that. Well, in this case, it straight up tells us that him allying with Luffy was not only due to his conviction for his mission, but also hope. The Kobe flashback was terrific in showing just how fond Kobe is of Luffy, and Drake buying into Luffy's hype, and he's about to experience it firsthand. We all thought at some point we could see Marines team up with Luffy to take down an enemy, But could this be the parallel? Does X Drake have greatness ahead of him? I mean, I'd say so. I didn't see it before, but someone mentioned to me, what if X Drake becomes an admiral? Is it far-fetched? At this point, no. We'll end it with this. Doflamingo's words resonate even more with each passing chapter. Who will betray who? And funny enough, who's who is right in the middle of this presumed betrayal. Who knows what will happen next? Another small thing, I forgot where I saw this, but they mentioned that Hawkins talking about 1% tomorrow morning almost guarantees that the fight goes throughout the night, but also how fitting it would be that at the dawn, Luffy defeats Kaido at that moment, where we have an actual dawn and then there's the dawn of a new era in Wano. Just beautiful stuff, right? But that's it, guys. There are things I want to talk about more in depth, but again, those deserve their own video, so look out for them this week. But give me your thoughts. How do you feel about the chapter? Do you think Who's Who really wants to kill Queen? How do you feel about what Hyogoro said about Luffy's form? And also, what's gonna happen to X Drake? Because I think that's pretty important. But thank you so much, guys. Make sure to like the video if you did. Subscribe to the channel for more content like this. Follow me on Twitter at BrogDAce. Follow me on Instagram, brogdy.ace. Thank you to my patrons. I appreciate you guys so much. Make sure to like and subscribe. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.